The sole question which follows me and inspires me for all my life is essentially the same as many other people, which is to be or not to be. I read this passage recently, and this great question is so eloquently put. The way I see it, the Danish prince Hamlet is asking, if we accumulate all the elements of living, the mundane, the horrid, the beautiful, does life's experience actually justify itself? Once I'd read the passage for a couple times on the train, it occurred to me that this question is great, not because of the articulation of quite a profound element of life, but because it's actually structurally impossible to answer. See, imagine a husband asking whether a relationship is, worth it after every individual conversation. The question actually misunderstands what a relationship is. A relationship is constituted through time and through countless finite moments that derive meaning from one another. This being said, from a phenomenological perspective, I hope I got that right, which is the study of conscious experience as experienced by you will never actually experience any moment outside of the present second. Our life, much like a relationship, is meaningful because of thousands of connected moments, and because we're chained to this present moment, we can't fully step back to examine the finite experience, whilst from our perspective it's seemingly infinite. Strictly speaking, this is the only place we can actually stand to evaluate it. So to put it simply, it's kind of like trying to evaluate a beautiful oil painting if we're actually inside of it. So now that we've said this, I think the next reasonable question to ask would be, how then should we live? And I think one of the most profound mechanisms we have to answer this is narratives and stories. I love reading, and I respect it too, and I think the primary reason for that is because the books can be foundational to our experience of, this ongoing thing that we humans have on here. And this is because when we read an in-depth narrative, we can relate and embody allegory and symbolism. The perfect allegory, I think, for answering this fundamental question is a relationship or a marriage. This, I understand, kind of looks like quite a surface level take, but truthfully I think it's embedded in the text that our civilization holds dear. In biblical terms, it's the two are better than one, for if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. And, the famous, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And even Plato says in his Symposium, or actually I think it's Aristophanes, he says, humans were once whole, but were split in two, and ever since have sought the other half. It isn't simply that life is like marriage, but the virtues in marriage that are essential to its flourishing reveals the virtues with which life itself should be approached. In marriage, it requires commitment, it requires patience, loyalty, forgiveness, sacrifice, and vulnerability. They can be exceptionally challenging virtues to embody, which is why I think the act of choosing to pursue the greater good of your marriage and choosing your partner every day is the most important. Because what we'll find upon closer examination is that's almost directly what Hamlet is contemplating. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles. To merely surrender and suffer the slings of arrows, or to take arms against the immense difficulty of striving upwards. And this is essentially the crux. Life may not be justified because of its horrors and its difficulty, and the slings and the arrows of the outrageous fortune. Truthfully, if we kept a ledger weighing existence at some points, it would be obscenely and intolerably bleak. But I think this is precisely where the marriage allegory becomes illuminating. No husband or wife vows long life devotion because they've calculated that every future day will outweigh every hardship. They choose one another despite knowing that suffering is inevitable. The commitment comes first, and the meaning is discovered through living it. If this is true of marriage, perhaps it's true of life. We spend so much time asking whether life deserves our commitment that we forget that commitment itself may be one of the conditions through which life's meaning is revealed. Like love, life does not simply present itself fully formed for our evaluation. It unfolds in response to the way that we inhabit it. Hamlet stands before two possibilities. One is to cease participating altogether. The other is to remain within the painting, to continue adding brushstrokes despite never seeing the completed canvas. I don't think that Shakespeare gives us an answer, and quite fittingly, I don't think he intends to, but rather exposing that the forming of meaning in human life is formed in the participation of the question itself, not the answer. The answer is the part which is finite, but the question does not part from our conscious experience. The mistake is believing that life's worth must be demonstrated before we choose it. We do not love this way, we do not marry this way, and we don't form friendships this way. We enter these relationships knowing they'll involve suffering, misunderstanding, sacrifice and loss, yet we judge them meaningful precisely because we continue to choose them. Their value is inseparable from our participation. And to conclude, I think it breaches the key aspect of my personal philosophy. Life is profound, but it is not defaultly experienced that way, it's a posturing. To approach life with the same virtues that sustain a marriage, commitment without certainty, patience without immediate reward, forgiveness after failure, vulnerability despite the risk of pain, and the quiet decision renewed every single morning to choose it once again. I truly think that to make the decision each day can drive the meaning that we have in our lives, because so many perhaps have tried to weigh the positives and the negatives, and for the rest of their lives quietly refused. It was the evening, but do you know, as I look up from writing the script for this, the sky has started to become quite blue, so I think that will call an end for the time being. But if you did continue to listen up until now, then thank you for your time, and please let me know what you thought. Sincerely, Charlie.